guys, and welcome back to another Vinyasa Flow class. I'm Amy, and today I'm going to be guiding you through a beautiful sequence to help move through, awaken, aliven, and just like open up and help stretch the low back, the spine, and the hips. I'm currently moving through a little bit of low back and hip issues, so I'm going to be practicing with some blocks underneath my hands for a majority of this class. Might be nice to have them on hand. I am actually going to get started with them as well. They're totally not necessary, but if you have them, then feel free to get them and incorporate them in, because it's a really nice way of just elevating the floor a little bit, making some step throughs a little bit easier. This isn't going to be a super intense class, but it's just going to be a nice way to just open some space into the hips and relieve the low back, hopefully. So we're going to get started in a constructive rest position. So you're just going to make your way onto your back. Wow, the tuies just flying around me. If you can hear them, I hope you can hear the bird song. They're beautiful this morning. So just take your feet out nice and wide to the long edges of the mat, and then let the knees knock in. And you can take one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Start to just drop in to your breath. Noticing how the spine feels dropping down onto the mat, fully supported. And in this constructive rest position, you might notice that that space where your low back usually lifts off the mat is somewhat more grounded here. Beautiful space to really help decompress the low back. Just notice your breath, how it's moving in and out through your body. Noticing the sensations on your skin, the temperature of the room. Any sounds that you can hear. And we'll just take a couple of deep breaths together. So exhale everything out of your system. Deep breath in. And a big sigh out the mouth. Deep breath in. Fill up all the way to the belly. Nice sigh out the mouth. One more time. Deep breath in. Full exhale out the mouth. Go ahead and walk your feet in so they're about hips width distance apart. And we're just going to move through a little bit of movement through our very low back. So what I want you to do is, it's going to be a very subtle movement, but just start to tuck the tailbone under. Don't lift the hips, but just tuck the tailbone under so you really feel that flattening of the entire spine. Exhale, you're going to release that off. Flick the tailbone under so you're now creating that opposite in the spine where the back is lifting off the mat, maybe creating a nice little gap between your low back and the mat. Exhale, release it off. Tuck the tailbone under, flatten through the spine. So these real little movements just in our lumbar spine. Exhale, release it off. Tuck the tailbone back behind you. Flick the tailbone back behind you as you create the arch into the low back. Exhale, release it off. Tuck the tailbone under, flatten the spine. Inhale, flick the tailbone back behind you. Create that nice arch. I always like to kind of have my hands onto my low belly here. Just move in your own breath. Just creating these little micro movements of the lower spine. I like to have my hands onto my sacrum and onto my pelvis here, just to really feel that sensation of the tailbone tucking under and then flicking back. Just moving here through a couple more rounds, just in your own time. Just really feeling that motion coming from the lowest point of your lumbar spine. And then just return to normal. So kind of somewhere in between. Just let everything rest for a moment. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Perhaps closing off the mouth and letting your breath come in and out through the nose. If you use Ujjayi breath during your practice, you can start to engage it here. And you're just going to turn onto your left side. I'm just going to start on my left because it'll be easier to face you here. And this is where I'm going to bring in the block. So I'm going to place one block under my head, just as a nice little support. And I'm gonna place the other block in between my thighs. If you don't have blocks here, it's totally fine. You can just do this laying down on your mat. Left hand's gonna come out in front of your face, right hand is gonna stack on top of it. As you inhale, can you reach the right fingertips further past the left? And then you're gonna draw a big circle up and over your head towards the back of your mat. As you open up, let the left fingertips drag across the mat behind you if they can, and then open up into this gentle twist. Again, you don't have to be cranking yourself open, just let it be nice and opening for the start of practice. As you exhale, that right hand's gonna keep drawing that circle around. It's gonna brush over your hip and then come to meet the left. And you're just moving like this in your own breath. So inhale, reach it forward and then reach it up and overhead. Open up into that twist. Exhale, closes you off. And you don't have to keep the fingers dragging along the mat. If it feels better to keep the hands lifted, then moving in that way is perfect as well. Just kind of allowing this to be a really nice, gentle way of moving, starting to move through the thoracic spine, so towards that mid-back region. So we kind of started to awaken a little bit into the low spine, and now we're moving up into the thoracic and mid-back. And just moving with your breath, continuing to have those deep inhales through the nose and exhales through the nose. If you're using that Ujjayi breath, making that slight whisper, that little constriction in the back of the throat, heating your body from the inside out. Next time you open up, take a moment to pause. It's just pausing in this twist. Can you keep the knees stacked? That right hip will want to shoot back. Can you keep it stacked on top of the left? Even if that means that your right shoulder isn't grounded, that's totally okay. That's totally okay. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more time, deep breath in. Deep breath out. Let that right hand float over the hip to come and join the left. And then you're just gonna switch over towards your right side. So my back's gonna be turned away from you, but it's okay, I'm still here with you in spirit. Left hand stacks on top of the right. Inhale, reach the left fingertips forward and then start to draw that big circle up and overhead. Opening up into that twist. And then exhale, closing it off, letting it glide over the left hip as it comes to meet the right hand once again. Moving with your breath, inhales to open and exhales to close. Inhales, open. And exhales, close. If there's ever any points during drawing these circles where you feel like a little bit stuck and a little bit sticky, you just want to hang out in a certain area, feel free to do so. And just really making it your own and just awakening through that mid-back, letting that movement come from the mid-back. Our mid-back, our thoracic spine is really good at this twisting motion. And then our low back is really, really good at flexion and extension. So that's why we were doing those little flexions and extensions at the beginning of class. And now we're kind of coming into the thoracic spine and doing the movement that it really enjoys as well, which is these twisting motions. Next time you open up, take a moment to pause. Don't worry if the left shoulder isn't ground, just try and keep the knees stacked. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more time, deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Let that left hand glide over the hip to come and join the right once again. And then moving on to your back. You can remove the blocks out from the head and out from the inner thighs. Bring your feet to come hips width distance apart. Knees are stacked on top of the feet, so you're all in that one line. We're gonna work through a couple of rounds of our bridge pose here. I really want you to feel this action coming from the legs and coming from the hips. So we're not lifting the spine, well, we are lifting the spine, but we're lifting the spine using the legs. So I want you to do that motion that we did at the very start of class, that tucking of the tailbone under to really flatten out through the spine. As you get there, start to engage your glutes and your hamstrings. Press down into the feet so much that the hips lift. Keep that tuck of the tailbone under so everything is really supported here. So even if you have, like me, a little bit of low back issues, this might feel tender and you may not be able to go all the way, but But as long as you are supporting into the legs, this is going to actually be really good at helping to strengthen the muscles that surround the low back and perhaps offer you a little bit of extra support as you heal the low back, or at least that's what I've been doing. Exhale, lower the hips back down. I know we were there for a little bit of time. We're going to do a couple more rounds of that. So inhale, tuck the tailbone under, press down through the feet, engage the glutes, engage the hamstrings, lift the hips up using all of that strength that you've cultivated. Inhale. Exhale, lower everything down. Tuck the tailbone under, press down through the feet, engage the glutes, engage the hamstrings, lift the hips up, inhale. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, lower it down. Inhale, lift it up. And exhale, lower it down. Inhale, lift it up. This time take a pause, shift the weight into your left foot, draw the right knee up and in towards your chest. Try and keep the hips level here. Straighten that right leg, reach the heel up towards the sky. Bend the right knee down, plant the right foot down next to the left. Shift the weight over towards the right, left knee hugs up and in towards your chest. Straighten the left leg, keep the hips nice and level here. Keep pushing down through that right foot, keep lifting that left hip up. Bend into the left knee, place the left foot down, and then lower the hips down. We're gonna do that little sequence just one more time. So just inhale, lift the hips up. Engaging through the legs, press down through the feet, draw the heels back towards you so you're engaging those hamstrings. Shift the weight left, draw the right knee in. Right knee straightens. Right knee bends. Right foot plants. Shift the weight right. Left knee hugs in. Left knee straightens. Left knee bends. Left foot plants down. Take an inhale here, press the hips up. And then exhale, lower everything down. Beautiful work. Draw the knees up and in towards the chest. Give them a squeeze. See if when you're drawing the knees into the chest, can you keep the low back and the sacrum grounded? So we're not really hugging them in so far that our hips lift off. It's just a nice little release. Deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Depending on if you have any tenderness in your low back or if you don't, you can take some rock and rolls up and down the length of your spine. I am not going to. It's just a little bit intense for me at the moment, but I'm just going to simply roll up through the spine. If you want to do a couple of rock and rolls to get there, then by all means do so. Cross the right shin in front of the left, come into an easy Sukhasana. Take the hands onto the shins, take a couple rounds of our seated cat-cow here. So inhale, pull the chest and heart forward, and then exhale, round through the spine. Inhale, pull the chest and heart forward. Use the hands onto the knees to really create that tractioning for the chest and heart to pull through the shoulders. And then exhale, round everything in, chucked into chin to chest. Inhale, open up. And exhale, round in. One more time. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, round in. Come back to that neutral spine. Take the fingertips out nice and wide, and then just start to sway some space into the hips here. Just kind of moving around, starting to feel into the low back, the QL. Feeling the hips really nice and heavy back behind you. Perhaps you want to keep swaying, or perhaps you want to find some stillness. If you have a little bit more space, you can even drop down onto the forearms. We're not going to be here for a super long amount of time, but if you do like to have something for the forehead to land on, if you've got those blocks, forehead can just rest onto the block. Use the hands, press yourself back upright. Switch the cross of the legs, left shin in front of right. Couple rounds of cat-cow, hands onto the knees. Inhale, pull the chest and heart through. Exhale, round through the spine, tuck tailbone under, chin to chest. Inhale, pull yourself open. Exhale, round everything in. Inhale, open up. And exhale, round. Inhale, back to a neutral spine. Take the fingertips out in front of you, and then just start to sway some space. Side to side, forwards and back. I kind of like to feel like a little floating leaf, a leaf that has fallen from a tree and is just gently swaying its way down to the earth. If you want to find some stillness by dropping the forearms down, you're welcome to. Or just some stillness fully supported onto the hands. If you want to take that block under the third eye, under the forehead, you're welcome to do that as well. Keep really sending the hips back, spreading the hips wide, feeling that opening into the sacrum. Press into the hands, lift yourself back upright, and then you're just going to shift over your shins, coming into a little tabletop position, and just take some time just to really curl into the spine, really undulating through barrel rolls of the chest. Make this more circular. So instead of just traditional cat-cows of just like going forward and backwards, see if you can really make it circular, drawing figure eights of the spine and really awakening through the spine. Feeling into any areas that feel especially tight for you. At the moment for me, that is my low back and my hip area. So these nice sways of the hips side to side feel really good. And that tucking of the tailbone under. I'm just going to take a little twist here. So press down through the left hand, reach the right hand up towards the sky, and then exhale, thread that right hand through, come and lay the shoulder down onto the ground. You can keep the left hand supported here. You can reach it out towards the top of your mat, or if you like, you can reach it up to the sky. If it reaches up towards the sky, go ahead and just place that hand onto your low back and sacrum. A little bit of self-energy work, I guess you could do here, a little bit of self-Reiki. Just giving some little love and support to that low back. Two more deep breaths here. Release it off, left hand comes down and right hand threads back under. Shift the weight into the right hand, left hand reaches up, open twist, and then exhale, thread it underneath you, coming into that little thread the needle. Right hand can stay down, right hand can reach forward, right hand can reach up. If it reaches up, perhaps you bring it to that low back once again, just giving yourself a little bit of a rub into the low back. Two more deep breaths here. Deep breath in, long breath out. One more time, deep breath in. And exhale, release. Bring the hands underneath you, tabletop position. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And for my downward facing dog, and mostly through all the practice, I'm gonna have blocks underneath my hands. You totally don't have to have this, but I do find, especially while I'm working through some injuries and some resistance in my body, having the blocks to help support me and just help lessen that distance between me and the mat has been really, really helpful. So if you need to, taking a nice deep bend into the knees, pressing through the hands, you're really lifting the shoulders up and out. Keep the shoulders away from ears. And then send the sit bones back behind you. Heels are heavy, but they can always be lifted. There's totally no need to have them fully grounded. If they're a little bit lifted off, that's fine. Just keep them moving heavily towards the mat. We'll just move through some little spinal ripples. So inhale high up onto the toes. Let the ripples start to happen from that low back. So you're tucking the tailbone under and letting that ripple you through the spine as you come forward into a little high plank pose. As you exhale, take a deep bend into the knees. Think cow-like with the spine. So you're flicking the tailbone back behind you as you start to straighten back through the legs and mount yourself back into a downward facing dog. Inhale, round and ripple forward, high onto the toes, really curling through the spine here to bring you forward, shoulders over wrists, look forward, exhale, deep bend into the knees, cow-like with the spine as you start to send the hips back behind you, and then straighten through the legs, downward facing dog. One more time, inhale, round and ripple forward. And then exhale, round, ripple it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right toes are going to reach up and back behind you, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee and open the hip. Just a little bit of a release, drawing that right heel in towards your right glute. Exhale, close it off. Straighten the right leg once again, and then step it to the outside of the right hand. Lower down the back knee. Inhale, chest and heart pulls through. Inhale, right hand's going to reach up towards the sky. So you're coming into this twisted low lunge. As you exhale, right hand's going to come down. You're going to pivot that left foot over towards the right. So you're coming into this Parsvakonasana variation with that back knee dropped. Left hand reaches towards the sky as you start to churn the chest and heart up towards the ceiling. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, you're going to come up. I'm going to take a block with me because we're going to bring that left hand onto the mat back behind us. Start to plant into that right foot. You might not be able to see here, but I'm kind of turning my heel out and grounding it down. So we're in like this warrior two with that back foot. Right hand reaches up and over the ear. Press the hands forward. This is going to be a really nice stretch for that QL and that front right hip flexor even as well. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inhale, come up. If you have the blocks with you, I'm going to take my block into my left hand just to add a little bit of extra weight. Gate pose. Let that right hand slide down the right leg. Let this left hand be heavy up and overhead. So we're getting into that left side body and the left QL now as well. Inhale, coming back up. Pivot the right toes to face the front of the mat. Pull yourself back into that modified side angle. Right hand plants onto the floor, onto the block, or it can even be elevated onto that knee. And then exhale, left hand's going to come down, pivoting everything towards the front of the mat, and we're going to come into a half splits. Maybe you take the blocks to frame that front foot and pivot and heel toe it in so it's sort of towards the middle of the mat. Half splits here for a moment. Take an inhale, halfway lift, and then exhale, fold over. Inhale, halfway lift. This time walk the hands over towards the right side edge of your mat. So you're coming into this little side body stretch into the half splits here. Inhale, back to center. You're going to start to bend into that right foot once again. Blocks or no blocks. Press down into the hands, tuck the back toes, straighten the leg. So coming to this low lunge here. Keep hugging the hips into that one line. Exhale, straighten both the legs, pyramid pose. That back heel can ground or you can keep it lifted. Stretching into the hamstrings, the hips, maybe even into that back calf. I always feel it quite intensely into my back calf. Inhale, rebend into that front foot, look forward, start to shift the weight forward as you step the left foot to the top of the mat. Take an inhale, halfway lift, and then exhale, fold over. Deep bend into the legs, inhale, round and ripple up through the spine. Once you get there, you're just gonna start to flick the tailbone back behind you, deep bend into the knees to ripple down through the spine. So you're bringing your torso to come down and lay onto the legs. Once you arrive into that forward fold position again, tuck the tailbone under and let it round and ripple you back up to stand. So you're kind of rippling through this forward fold chair motion. It's a little circle chair. Just moving through the spine, letting it unravel you, feeling into any sticky areas or any areas that feel extra fluid today. It's really easy for us to get kind of absorbed into the parts of our body that feel tense and tight. See if you can start to feel into the places that feel really free. Next time you come to stand, take a moment to pause, reach the arms up and overhead. Right hand's going to clasp for the left wrist. Left foot's going to step back behind the right. So you're coming into this little curtsy lunge, side body stretch. You're really pulling that left hand up and over the ear. Let the gaze come up and under that left armpit. Deep breath in, come back up to stand. Switching that, so taking the left hand, pulling onto that right wrist, right foot steps over and behind, coming into this little curtsy lunge. Nice side body stretch, gaze comes up and under that armpit. Inhale back to center, and then exhale, forward fold, hands plant. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, left foot steps back, rise up, crescent lunge. Reaching through that back heel, sinking the hips down nice and low, feeling that beautiful stretch into that left hip flexor. See if you can keep that tailbone tucking under, hips moving down. One breath in here. And a deep breath out. Hands come down to plant onto that block. Step the right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left toes, reach up. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Inhale, square off the hips, straighten the left leg. And then exhale, step it to the outside of the left hand. Drop down the back knee. Inhale, chest and heart pulls through. Inhale, reach the left hand up towards the sky. Twisted low lunge. Exhale, left hand comes down. Pivot the right toes over towards the left. Right hand reaches up. Modified side angle. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And how you're moving, you're coming up to stand, pivot that left heel, so you're coming into that warrior two stance, right hand comes down outside the right hip, left hand reaches up and overhead. So we're modified side plank here. Keep pressing the hips forward, spiraling the chest up towards the sky. Inhale, come up to stand. Maybe you carry that block with you. If it's there, left hand slides down the left leg. Right hand reaches up and over ear. Let that block be weighted and heavy into the right hand. Really stretching into that side body, into the QL. Inhale, come back upright. Pivot that heel forward. Pull yourself into that little modified side angle once again. And then exhale, right hand comes down. Turn towards the front of your mat. Let your hands frame that front foot and then send it into a half split. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold over. Inhale, halfway lift. This time walk the hands over towards the left. Let this be a nice little side body stretch in your half splits pose. Inhale, pull yourself forward, frame that front foot with your blocks. Tuck the back toes and straighten the back leg, lift the back knee. Take an inhale here. Exhale, pyramid pose. Ground the back heel if it's there, or keep it nice and heavy, straighten the front leg. Keep hugging that left hip back and in line, right hip comes forward. Rebend into that front foot. Inhale, look forward, shift the weight forward, glide the right foot up to meet the left, forward fold. Tuck the tailbone under, let the knees bend as you round and ripple up through the spine. Once you arrive there, let the tailbone tip back as you spill the belly over the thighs and let everything curl down. Once you arrive there, deep bend in the knees, curl the tailbone under to round and ripple yourself up, and then exhale, ripple it down. Just moving through the spine here. In your own breath, inhales to ripple you up and exhales to ripple you down. Next time you come up to stand, reach the arms up and overhead. Right hand grabs for that left wrist. Left foot steps over and behind the right as you reach the hands up and over, really pulling that left wrist over, letting the hips spill towards the left. Nice side body stretch. Inhale, come back upright. Exhale, left hand grabs the right wrist, step the right foot back behind you, side body stretch. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, forward fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, right foot steps back, rise up, crescent lunge. Sink the hips low, squaring off through the hips. Reach through that back heel. And then exhale, hands come down to frame that front foot. Step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, round and ripple forward, high plank pose. I'm gonna keep the blocks under my hands, lower down, chaturanga. As I come up, I'm gonna stay with my toes tucked under for my upward facing dog. So it just helps me strengthen up through the legs a little bit more, supports my low back a little bit more. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Moving through that sequence a little bit faster this time. Inhale, right toes reach up. Exhale, step it to the outside of the right hand. Twisted low lunge, right hand reaches. Exhale, modified side angle. Right hand comes down, pivot the toe, reach the left hand up. Inhale, come upright. Left hand plants down, right hand reaches up and overhead. Modified side plank. Inhale, rise up, gate pose. Keep that block into the left hand if you like it there. Exhale, hands come down. Pull yourself into that modified side angle one more time. And then close everything off. Half splits, right hands towards the right side edge of your mat. Inhale, pull forward, frame that front foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, low lunge. Exhale, pyramid pose, straighten both the legs. Inhale, shift the weight forward. Step forward, forward fold. Inhale, round and rise up. Reach the hands up and overhead right away. Right hand clasp for the left wrist. Left foot steps behind, side body stretch. Inhale, come back to center, swap it out. Left hand grabs the right wrist, right foot steps over and behind. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, forward fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, step the left foot back, crescent lunge. Settle the hips down, reach through the back heel. Deep breath in. Exhale, hands come down, frame the front foot, step the foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left toes reach. Exhale, step it to the outside of the left hand, twisted low lunge. Left hand reaches up. Modified side angle, pivot that back heel in, right hand reaches up. Come up to stand as you have the right hand outside the right hip. Modified side plank, left hand reaches up and overhead, press the hips forward. Inhale, rise up, gate pose. Left hand slides down the left leg. Inhale, come up to stand, pull yourself into that modified side angle once more. And then exhale, close it off, half split, side body stretch towards the left. Inhale, pull yourself forward, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, low lunge. Exhale, straighten the legs, pyramid pose. Inhale, step it forward, forward fold. Inhale, round and ripple up. Right hand clasps the left wrist, step the left foot over and behind. Really pulling yourself into that side body stretch. Keep the hips pulling into that one line. Inhale, come back upright. Switch it out, left hand clasp the right wrist, step the right foot over and behind. Press the hips over towards the right, pull the arm over towards the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step the right toes back, rise up, crescent lunge. Exhale, hands come down, step the left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, round and ripple forward. Exhale, lower down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right toes reach up, step it to the front of the mat. Drop down the back knee, twisted low lunge. Exhale, modified side angle. Inhale, lift up. Left hand comes down, modified side plank. Inhale, come up, gate pose. Left hand reaches up and over the air. Exhale, close it all off. Half splits with that side body stretch, hands over towards the right. Inhale, pull yourself forward. Straighten the back knee as you lift the back knee. Low lunge. Exhale, straighten both the legs, now pyramid pose. Inhale, rebend into the front foot, step to the front of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, round and ripple up. Exhale, right hand clasp the left wrist, left foot steps back, side body stretch. Inhale, back to center, swap it out. Right foot steps over and behind. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left toes reach back. Low crescent lunge. Inhale. Exhale, hands come down, step the right toes back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left toes reach up. Exhale, twisted low lunge. Left hand comes up towards the sky. Exhale, modified side angle. Inhale, come up. Exhale, modified side plank. Right hands are down, left fingertips up and over the air. Inhale, pull yourself back upright, gate pose. Left hand down the left leg, right hand reaches up and overhead, really stretching into that QL. Inhale, come upright, pull yourself back into that modified side angle. And then exhale, close it off. Half splits, hands move over towards the left side edge of your mat. Inhale, pull yourself forward. Frame the front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, low lunge, keep the hips sinking low. Exhale, straighten both the legs, pyramid pose, hug that left hip in. Inhale, pull forward, step forward, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale, round and ripple up. Right hand clasps the left wrist, left foot steps over and behind, big side body stretch. Feel the breath entering into that left lung. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, swap it out. Step the right foot back behind, right hand reaches up and over ear, left hand clasps that wrist. Breathe into the side body. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down, step the right foot back. Rise up, crescent lunge. Settle the hips down, really tucking that tailbone under. Reach through that back heel. Exhale, hands come down. Frame the front foot, step the left toes back, downward facing dog. Inhale, round and ripple forward. Exhale, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, drop the knees, sink it back, child's pose. And just feeling into this child's pose for a moment, noticing if there feels to be any shifts or changes into that low back and sacral area. Allowing your breaths to really unravel, uncoil the low back, the mid back. Perhaps you start to feel a little bit of softening into the upper back as well. Especially in this child's pose position, there's a lot of opening up into your shoulders here. Deep breaths in and deep breaths out. Deep breath in and a deep breath out. When you're ready, just making your way into a comfortable seat. You can be seated on shins in a Sukhasana if you've got those blocks. You're welcome to use them underneath your sit bones to help you sit upright. Just find somewhere that you can sit comfortably for a moment. We're going to move through a couple rounds of Nadi Shodhana, which is a beautiful pranayama breathing practice. This practice is really great at balancing the different energies and sides of our body. So it's known as alternate nostril breathing and purification breath. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our peace fingers, place them on our third eye. You're going to use, I'm using my right hand. It's probably best if you just like copy me. Right hand, peace fingers onto the third eye, blocking the right nostril with the thumb and blocking the left nostril with the ring finger. And this is how we kind of move through this practice here. We're going to start by inhaling left. So you're going to block the right nostril. You're going to inhale through the left here. You're going to close that left nostril. You're going to open the right nostril and then breathe out. After you finish that, you're going to breathe in through the right nostril, block the right nostril, open the left nostril, and breathe out through the left nostril. We're going to just move through that a couple of different rounds. I wanted to incorporate this breathing practice into this class just because we have been working into a lot of asymmetrical things, so lots of twisting poses and lots of kind of like moving cross body. And this felt like a really beautiful practice to kind of maintain that energy. And this is a beautiful practice at balancing the introvert, extrovert, the solar and lunar, the feminine and masculine channels of our body, the right and left sides of our body. And it just helps to kind of create balance and harmony. So we're going to move through that. So I'm just going to take a moment just to close down your eyes and settle in. Just notice where your breath is at currently. Perhaps it's elevated, perhaps it's a little faster than usual. It's okay. We're going to take a couple rounds of deep breath just to try and even out those inhales and exhales once again and bring them back to a neutral breath, a calm breath. So exhale everything out of your system. Take a deep breath in. Pausing at the top, holding the breath. And exhale. Deep breath in. Pausing at the top, holding the breath. Exhale everything out. Deep breath in. Hold at the top. And deep breath out. Welcome to keep your eyes closed, or if you would like, you can flutter them open and look at the screen. Peace fingers of the right hand are going to come to rest on that third eye. Take a deep breath in and a clearing breath out. Thumb is going to block the right nostril. Take a deep breath in through the left nostril. Block the left, open the right, exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, open left, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, open left, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, open left, exhale left. Taking the hands to rest in the lap, take a deep breath in through both nostrils. And a deep breath out through both nostrils. Beautiful work. Shift the weight off that block if it was there. Take the legs out in front of you and let's just come into a nice, easy forward fold. Just close everything off from that practice. Again, that block is always there, or you can even stack the blocks to bring them underneath your forehead, give you something to land on. I'm just feeling the symmetry of this pose. That nice even fold over the legs. Use the hands, peel yourself back upright. Remove those blocks out. Shift the weight forward, roll down onto your back, draw the knees up and in towards your chest. Again, allowing that sacrum to be heavy towards the mat. Keep the right knee in towards your chest, reach the left leg out long. And we're coming into a nice easy twist. So maybe you shift your hips over towards the right slightly and then draw that right knee over towards the left. Right hand's gonna come out. It's okay if that right knee doesn't come out onto the mat if you like as well. If you wanna take it more supported, you can even take one of those blocks and let it come underneath that knee, just adding in a little bit of extra support. Again, not feeling like you need to crank into this pose, especially if you have any tenderness in your low back. Letting this twist just be a nice release. It's really important when we're working with any back pain to not sink into too much rest, because it's important for us to maintain the mobility and the strength of the muscles that help support the low back. So this was a little issue that I had to navigate when this injury first happened, is I kind of stopped everything, and in stopping everything I also lost a lot of strength into my core and into my glutes and into the muscles that help support the low back, and it was just creating a little bit more trouble in the healing process because there weren't any supporting structures to help it. Especially with these twists, I haven't been cranking into any deep twists, but it's nice to kind of maintain a little bit of that twisting motion just so that my body remembers. If you like here, you can even straighten through that right leg. If you don't have that support underneath you and you aren't working with any tenderness in the spine, you can even try and clasp for that right foot with the left hand and straighten the leg, getting a nice stretch through that IT band of the right leg. Next, inhale, draw everything back to center, give the knees a nice little squeeze in towards the chest. Right leg is going to go out long this time, left knee hugs into the chest, and then scoot the hips over towards the left so you can enter into that twist. Maybe you want to take that block underneath the knee if you're working with any tenderness of the spine. Maybe you feel like this twist is actually really nice and deep for you if your spine is in good health. And you feel like you can kind of twist a little bit deeper and sink into it a little bit deeper after all of the cross-body work that we've done in this practice. If you want to straighten that twisted leg, that left leg, and clasp for the outer edge of the foot and stretch into that IT band, it's a really nice stretch to enter into here. Deep breath in, long breath out. Draw the knees back to center, give them a nice tight little squeeze. Happy baby pose. Take the outside edges of the feet into the hands, let the knees draw out nice and wide to the outside of your rib cage. And then just letting the hands be really heavy and kind of tugging down onto the tops of the feet. Keep the sacrum grounded. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And then just releasing the feet, maybe bringing the soles of the feet to touch, letting the knees come out nice and wide. So we're entering into the Supta Baddha Konasana shape. And a little bit of a reverse from where we started in that constructive rest position, allowing the knees to open up while the feet are together as opposed to the feet being wide and the knees knocking together. Just noticing how that feels into your spine, to your low back. Whenever you are ready, if you want to stay here for your Savasana, or maybe you want to send the legs out nice and long, and just drop down into your Savasana. Let the hands come out nice and wide, or maybe they rest, one hand on belly, one hand on heart. Just allowing yourself to drop into a state of rest here. Feeling into that right and left side of your body. Noticing how the energy is flowing through each of these sides. And perhaps if you could envision starting at that low back into that lumbar spine, that very coccyx, that tailbone area. And just starting to imagine a coil, a serpent, a snake, just sitting at that base of your spine, coiled around itself. And perhaps you just start to envision that snake starting to unwind and unravel. And slowly it starts to snake and spiral its way up, coming up through your low back, reaching up into your mid-back, serpenting its way up into your cervical spine and your upper back until it comes to rest at the top of your spine, maybe even up and into the third eye center. And just see if you can really tune into your energetic body here. Feeling perhaps a gentle sway of the head. Don't feel like you have to sway the head, but see if you can just notice a little kind of serpentine motion radiating from the spine and up and into the skull. So maybe you just notice that there is this little snaking action happening, your head gently rocking side to side. You don't have to rock it, but just see if you can feel almost like that fascia layer, just kind of gently moving your head, your spine. And just allowing yourself to rest in this Shavasana for as long as it serves you. The beautiful thing about being able to practice online, being able to practice in your own home, is that you have the luxury of being able to really melt into this Shavasana. And if you would like a visualization while you lay here in Shavasana, there's this beautiful visualization that I like to use, especially when I've been working with the right and left sides of the body, or any twisting motions or this kind of like serpentine energy, is envisioning a sun and moon meditation. So on your inhale, you're going to envision the moon rising at your third eye, and it's going to travel down the left side of your body. As you inhale, it comes down, and at that pause, at that suspension of the breath, that moon is going to come to set in your heart space. There's a moment of pause there, almost like the beginning of dawn. This kind of space where it's not quite daytime, but it's no longer nighttime. And then as you exhale, the sun is going to rise out of your heart. It's going to come up that right side body, all the way up to the crown of your head. And then the sun is going to set at the crown of your head. And then we have our dusk. And we take a moment to pause there in that space that's not quite night and not quite day. And then on your inhale, the moon once again rises and it travels down the left side of your body. And so the cycle continues. And if this is a visualization that just helps you to rest in your Shavasana, then feel free to stay with it for as long as it serves you and just enjoy the magic of this Shavasana right now. This time for pure rest. Thank you so much for joining me in your practice today. I really, really appreciate you welcoming me into your home, into your living room, or wherever you are practicing from. I am truly so grateful and so humbled. And until we're able to practice again next time, I am sending you so much love and so much peace. And I just hope you have an amazing rest of your day or evening, wherever you are, whatever is coming up next. Namaste.